Hello, this is author Nancy Flinchbaugh. Today I'm very happy to be interviewing Christian Joy Demeritt, the Audible narrator of my book, Revelation in the Roots, Emerald Isle. Christian is a voiceover artist, an actress, and a singer. A native of Miami, Florida, she completed a Bachelor's of Arts in Theater from Florida A&M University and a Master's in Fine Arts in Acting. After teaching middle school for almost a decade as a chorus and drama teacher, she's currently living her dream in Los Angeles. In 2021, she was privileged to portray famed Good Times actor Esther Roll in Let the Good Times Roll. She's now rehearsing in 2 musicals, and I'm so glad that she found the time to narrate my book in her new life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome, Christian. It's so good to see you this morning. Thank you for taking time to talk to me about our book. And I just wanted to start by asking you to tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into narrating audiobooks.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Nancy. Well, my name, like you said, is Christian. I'm from Miami, Florida. And I moved to Los Angeles, California about 2 years ago to get my master's in fine arts, specifically in acting. And I just graduated actually with my MFA May 1st. So this is 4 months ago. Thank you so much. And before that, I was a middle school chorus and drama teacher for about 10 years, almost 10 years. And because of COVID and just because of me finally deciding to pursue my dream, I packed it up and left everything behind and moved to Los Angeles. And of course, the week that I graduated from school, the writer's strike happened and then the acting strike after that. So that kind of put me at a disadvantage. But in school, we took some voiceover classes from a lot of voiceover artists who are working. And that kind of reinvigorated a different part of my talent because I was an actor and a singer. I just incorporated both and used that to start doing voiceovers in school, and went on to ACX, found your book, and decided to give it a try. And this is my second voiceover project, so I'm still fairly new to voiceover.
Well, thank you so much for doing it. I'm glad you found my book, and I really enjoy listening to you read it and sing. I heard some singing in there and making the characters come alive, so I really appreciate that. I wondered, why would you recommend that people listen to Revelation in the Roots, Emerald Isle?
Well, it's probably for the same reason. I would recommend that people listen to Revelation in the Roots, Emerald Isle, for the same reason that I decided to audition for it, because it's different. It's unlike anything that you have heard of before, especially the subject matter, and it's bound to capture your attention if you're into fantasy, if you're into so many. It actually covers a lot of different genres. I would definitely recommend you check it out and see if you're not intrigued by the many different stories of the Mams and the traveling aspect of it, the attempt at bringing people of different walks of life together. I would definitely recommend someone get into that and see if they can't find something that they are attracted to.
Yeah, so you're talking about the Mams, the Magnificent Marvelous Book Club.
Yes.
And they go to Ireland with some of their group home members. So we have some African Americans in the book, some white people in the book, and some romance. So what did you enjoy most about the book?
It was the aspect that I enjoyed most about the book specifically was the challenge of doing so many different voices. I had some experience doing different voices, but this was definitely the most amount of voices and different voices that I had to do. And the challenge of making them sound different and trying to tap into their personalities. I had a little bit of guidance, but a lot of it was just deciding who they were in my mind, try to keep track of them, and then make sure that I sound the same that I did when I started them, because it did take a couple of months for me to complete the book. So that was the biggest challenge.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, there are a lot of characters, the six ma'ams, and they're all different personalities. And you had Welby and Reagan, and then the Leprechaun and Grandmama, and Saint Bridget. A lot of
and everybody that they came across over in Ireland, everybody that they came across in America, everybody had to have a voice, you know.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say the book has to say about race?
So I think that from what I was gathering, the main thing that it had to say about race is overall that everyone is pretty much the same. Everyone comes from different walks of life, and that's what makes them decide what they relate to and who they can relate to. But when you get down to it, people are not that different. What I did appreciate is there were parts of the book that did not try to make people colorblind, which is a personal pet peeve of mine when people try to pretend that, you know, we all bleed red, we're all the same, we're all human, so there should be no reason why we should have issues. I think the best way to not attack, the best way to approach racial division is to embrace differences and accept them and learn about them. And for the most part, I believe the book tried to do that with different relationships.
Well, thank you so much. I know some white people say, well, I'm colorblind, or I don't even look at race. Well, you know, if you're part of the majority, it's easy to say that. And sometimes white people don't look at race. But I agree with you. It's important for us to respect our differences and our diversity and see it. And sometimes I need to see all my differences as a white person. You know, I just got back from Ghana, and I was one of a few white people most of the time. And sometimes I'm not even aware of things like that, you know, so I appreciate that. I was also kind of making some political comments there. And I tried to put it within the different perspectives. Like I had a Republican friend read everything and a Democratic friend read everything. And I wanted to be true to both of those different things. But did you think the message had a message? Did the book have a message to people about our political differences?
Yeah, so I think the book definitely had a message to people about political differences. Like I was saying before, I feel like the main thing that stuck out to me is you kind of choose what either benefits you or you relate to the most. A lot of the characters in the book, specifically Reagan, only saw one side because they have been taught one way. And also it does benefit that particular character to vote the way she votes and think the way she thinks. It would honestly be radical and almost revolutionary for her to open up her mind and think in a different way. And the same with, you know, her counter character, Welby. For him to think a certain way, he had very specific experiences and came from a very specific place. And it wouldn't make much sense for him, especially where he falls in the his tax bracket, basically, where he falls in America. It wouldn't make much sense for him to think any other way because it wouldn't benefit him to think any other way. He's not a part of the top 1%, or he's not even, I don't think he even has the idea that he could be. And traditionally, one of those parties only benefits the top 1% and people in a certain tax bracket. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to help. You know, I don't know how we're going to come back together as a country, but, you know, I was trying to pick that apart a little bit. Why are people the way they are? And like you said, a lot of it has to do with where they're coming from and where they grew up and their experiences, their life experiences. And do you think the book had anything to say about love?
I do think the book had something to say about love. I think that the general idea that a lot of people have stood on is that love will conquer all. Personally, as a person, I don't believe that. I don't believe love will conquer all. I think that you can choose to be blind to certain things. But I think that for the most part, the book said that love is what we all need. It's a human need. And it will allow you to hear other people and accept them if you lead with love. if that's the first thing that you're thinking, if you're not leading with offense, if you're not leading with looking to be just not listening and only, just hearing, not even hearing, only talking to somebody to respond to them. If you're leading open-minded with open minds, and I guess you could contribute that to being a loving person. But I think sometimes it can be dangerous to think that specifically that if you grew up, prejudice, that if you fall in love with somebody of the opposite race and have some biracial children, that love will conquer all. I think that could be dangerous because a lot of times people don't learn that way. A lot of times they're leading and not learning. They're loving and not learning, I should say. I've seen that as a teacher. I've seen that not work in children's favor, the children who are products of these relationships, because a lot of times people are ignoring actual issues in the name of love or sometimes just lust. And their children are lost a lot of times. I've been the teacher who had to explain to a child why they can embrace being biracial. They don't have to choose, one side or the other. Or if they want to, they can, because they are in a place where they can.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's ever explained that to them. They don't understand why they are considered Black automatically because of the old slavery one drop rule. You know what I mean? And that we still abide by in 2023. It's like you have a Black father, well, you're Black no matter what. And you have to deal with being Black in this country. So I think it's dangerous sometimes to think that, well, listen, if we all just fall in love and make biracial children, we'll all be better. But I can see why people would think that. I just don't necessarily think personally that's a resolution to the racial divide. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard to find the solution, but like you said before, respecting the differences is really important. And yeah, and sometimes people aren't aware of their racial makeup. There are a lot of people live their lives as white people thinking they're all white. And so that was part of the story too, that they had African blood they didn't know about.
Yeah.
And maybe African Americans are a little more likely to know there's some white blood, some Irish or whatever your blood, because of all the rapes that occurred, which is really a sad part of the history. So you already mentioned what was challenging, all the different voices. And, do you have any other projects underway right now, or what are you working on as an actress and voiceover artist?
Yeah, I have a lot of things going on. I'm grateful that I have a lot of things going on currently because, like I said, the strike definitely affected everything from my agents not sending as much stuff because a lot of things can't film, especially SAG, Screen Actors Guild franchised projects. But I've been blessed to get calls for musicals. So theater is not directly affected by the strike. So I've been blessed to get calls for a lot of musicals. It's making me tap into what I call an old bag back when I was younger in undergrad and was able to move better because, of course, musicals require dancing, not require, but usually involve some sort of dancing. And I'm not as young as I used to be. So moving, I had to basically retrain my body to do those things. But yeah, I have two projects right now, two musicals. I have a campaign with I'm also a plus size model. I didn't mention that, but I have a campaign with my modeling agency. And let's see. I'm also writing a theater curriculum for a program for foster children who are looking to get into producing film and actually a film curriculum for foster children who are looking to produce film after graduating from school. I try to keep busy. Obviously, the goal is to always have something going on in this gigging lifestyle. But the main two projects that I rehearse for every single day, except for today because it's Labor Day, is the two musicals that I'm working on right now.
Oh, wonderful. So good to talk to you. And I want to again thank you for doing the narration for my book. And I will encourage people to listen to it and to hear your voice making the story come alive. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. This was a big task because it's a longer book, but I appreciated it. It stretched me in ways that I didn't expect to be stretched as an artist. So thank you for the opportunity.
I encourage you to find and follow Christian on Instagram and TikTok at christian.joy.the. You can also find our book on Amazon's Audible page. You can find a link to purchase at spiritualseedlings.com/homes/Revelation in the Roots Emerald Isle. Again, I'm author Nancy Flinchbaugh. You can find me on the web, on my website, spiritualseedlings.com and nancyflinchbaugh.com, on Facebook, Nancy Flinchbaugh Author, on YouTube, Nancy Flinchbaugh, Instagram, flinchbaugh.nancy, and TikTok, Nancy Flinchbaugh Author. Thanks for listening and have a great day.